Someone who knows that change is not inevitable and that time is not the only thing to be considered is Stacy Davis Gates, who is the illustrious president of the Chicago Teachers Union and the vice president of the Illinois Federation. There is a lot that one can say about Stacy Davis Gates, but the thing that I appreciate the most is in my years as an organizer around education justice, one of the most, not just vocal, but one of the people who put body, career, reputation on the line to expand justice for young people, for teachers, for community has been Stacy. And so it is so good to be in community with you this morning. I thank you for your leadership, and I invite you to share with the almost 100 people who are in this webinar this morning. Thank you, Stacy Davis Gates.
Thank you, Ron, for such a very generous introduction. And good morning to everyone in CRS space. You all play a very important role in the justice that our society either renders or refuses. And so I would like to thank you for everything that you do for people. There isn't one passage that I could come up with or one speech. One of the things that I've done over the last year is reference this book a lot. Where do we go from here? Chaos or community? Because we have choice in this. And so one of the things I think that I want to talk about is how Dr. King leaves the South to come north. Because he wants to understand what the dilemma of the Northern, quote, Negro, what that dilemma looks like and what it feels like. And so a school teacher named Al Raby invites Dr. King to Chicago, school teacher. And this school teacher, Al Raby, who's been figuring out how to bring equity and justice to the Chicago public schools, understands largely in the interconnectedness of the way in which the city works and the way in which the schools are connected and the way in which the real estate market works. And so he compels Dr. King to come north, and he gets this experience in Chicago, which will be all too familiar to us, is that the experience in Chicago, it's colored by the political leadership and the ability of government to offer either relief or resistance. And because people want relief, he encounters a Christian community, he encounters a Black community, he uncovers a very segregated community here in Chicago that is oppressed and that is being choked by this desire, this need for opportunity, and what one has to do in order to get that opportunity. You have two choices. You can acquiesce to a machine that doesn't love you, but will give you some sustenance, or you could resist, like Brother Al Raby, and compel and challenge Dr. King to come north and to take up space on the West Side to bring about this discussion on housing. And so this is what I'll name here. He says, so a couple of quotations. Um, After being here in Chicago, Dr. King says, if we can break the system in Chicago, it can be broken in any place in the country. Now, parking like that a little bit. And then I'm going to give you another quotation. If there is to be genuine equality, there must be a radical redistribution of economic and political power. And so today in Chicago, we stand at this intersection of breaking a system in Chicago while radically redistributing how government, how this society takes care of people. And so all of us together in Chicago said that the people who've been pushed out of Chicago, Black citizens, the people who we see under viaducts, the people who do not have housing security, like the nearly 20,000 students in the Chicago public schools, we have decided as a city that we're going to bring people home and that they are going to have homes. And so this idea that in 1966, when this campaign starts, in 1967, when it finally has some concreteness, that in 2024, we have an opportunity to not just bring Chicago home, but to bring the impetus of the Chicago campaign home. See, it was that campaign where Dr. King challenged the real estate industry, in which they had drawn red lines throughout this city that, again, kept people inside. They call it redlining. These same red lines offered those who ran our public school system a blueprint in which they could refuse resources. And so now in 2024, we are dealing with the impact of two things: the mighty resistance of a teacher, Al Raby, and the unfulfilled promise of the Chicago campaign. And in two spaces, we have an opportunity. We have another teacher in the city who, in the city of Chicago, his name is Mayor Brandon Johnson, who is intent upon leading us to our next level. And the way in which Al Raby compelled this city with Dr. King to aspire to more, to connect the dots from city government to housing and to our public schools. And we have an opportunity now to see real estate be compelled in a way that offers true equity, that offers opportunity, and that gives us a chance to narrow those students, those 20,000 students, to narrow that number and to offer their families an opportunity to have housing in a city as large, as beautiful, as cosmopolitan, and as rich as the city of Chicago is. And so I am encouraged on this King Day to be in a space and time to see other leaders erected like Mayor Johnson, to understand that the promise that was given to us with the Chicago campaign can finally land with Bring Chicago Home. I am encouraged that we all get an opportunity to be in coalition and collaboration and in community, not chaos, with each other. And so I have hope today. I have hope that our movement can compel the mighty business interest in this city, can compel the stubborn political system in this city to acquiesce and to open up and to provide the true equity that Dr. King and Al Raby fought for. Thank you.